Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. It's Let It Rip Friday.
Hi, I'm Linda Mitchell, 54-year-old elite obstacle racer, award-winning fitness competitor, gym owner, and author. Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat podcast, where we will approach the difficult topics of life, interview inspiring guests, and bring empowerment to all. This community is a place where we can be who we are instead of who others want us to be. Let's get started.
And now, a word from our sponsors, Essential Formulas.
Now more than ever, it is important to have a healthy immune system. Many health professionals agree that probiotics are a leading natural therapy for boosting immune health. Why? Because 70% of your body's immune cells reside in the GI tract. By taking a superior probiotic daily, like Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, with their postbiotic metabolites, you can enhance your overall immune system and immune response. For additional immune support, get RegActive's Immune Formula to boost your glutathione levels, since our glutathione levels go down if we feel stressed. Maintaining glutathione levels is a key factor for natural defense. For a short-term immune boost, try Dr. Ohhira's Propolis Plus, which provides probiotic and immune support and includes Brazilian green propolis for superior antioxidant support and vitamin E, astaxanthin, and flax oil. Be proactive about your immune health. Ask your retailer today about Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, RegActive Immune Formula, and Dr. Ohhira's Propolis Plus today.
What if everything you're going through right now, no matter how bad it is, how hopeless you feel, maybe you're flat on your back and you just feel like you have to surrender to what's going on in your life and you can't see how you're going to be able to make it right now. But we have faith in a God that is capable, fully able of putting you in the place you always dreamed of, but never really knew if you could be there or do that. Maybe what you're going through right now is just a setup for what he is going to do in your life. And I just look back and I think about all the ways that he has been there in my life at times that I thought, wow, this is it. I may not make it out. But calling on his name, he saved me in the worst of circumstances. And he has guided every single footstep. He goes before us, beside us, in front of us. When people are falling at our right side, when they're falling all around us, he knows who you are. He knows what you've been through. And God can set you up on a high tower while all of your enemies are basically falling by the wayside. You're being in the middle of a pandemic. You are the most prosperous you've ever been. When you're flat on your back from a hamstring surgery and unable to physically lead your gym and do the things you've always done, he can give you the gym of your dreams. I attest to that. And I just think back to I'll just tell a little bit of the pink purse, how appropriate, because today I am fully lit up in pink from head to toe, just about, even to my nails. But I'm just going to tell you guys how when I was in another facility and I had been building my business up in this facility for 5 years, or maybe I'll just jump back a little bit from that. I want to go back to when I was in a gym. And I knew about a year before everybody else because I'm very perceptive, I'm empathic, and I pick up on things that other people miss because of it. And sometimes that's a blessing and sometimes that's a curse. But I knew a year in advance that our gym was going to close. And I'm very loyal. And I had worked with my boss for over 14 years. So I stayed on the ship, even though I knew it was sinking. just wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And I remember I was driving around one day and I prayed that God would help me find a place to train, that I could also teach classes and pay, like I wasn't paying any kind of percentage. So anyway, the percentage, I wanted to pay just a small percent because I was used to, my boss spoiled me and I paid no percent. And I just, all of a sudden, after I prayed, the idea popped in my head and I negotiated and only had to pay 10% of what I was bringing in, which is like amazing. And I had a place to train, a place to teach, until I started coming up with other ideas. And I was getting job offers to do what I'd always done, to coordinate aerobics, to personal train in a gym. And I thought about it. I mean, I was tempted definitely to just keep on doing the same thing, right? The same thing, just in a different location. But I had started this boot camp outside at the Voice of America Park. Everything comes when you pray. Let me just say that much. I'd prayed for a place that I could teach outside. My client said, go to the Voice of America Park. I went, I negotiated, and voila, I was at the park teaching boot camp outside on the bridge of Voice of America Park, overlooking a lake. And there was a gigantic hill, and it was just a huge, cool place to have this holistic boot camp that I wanted to have for ladies. And I had started that outside, and they weren't liking it too much at the other gym because it was kind of showing up this coordinator that was there. And I had went in and negotiated a better rate than she had, and she wasn't too happy about it. So they basically told me I needed to choose. And on the course, I chose the outside boot camp. And I just remember I got an offer at 2 different gyms to coordinate. And I thought, I just really want to see where this thing leads. I want to see where this leads. I started with 1 TRX inside of that gym, and then I bought a whole slew of them. And I got Kangoo jumps, and we were running outside in the Kangoo jumps, doing TRX on the bridge, running the hill. And I just remember one night when all the ladies were running up the hill and it was sunset, I just thought, this is it. This is everything that I envisioned. And I think it's so important to have a vision of what you want, what you're wanting to create, how you're wanting to make people feel, so that you can dial that in. So pretty soon, it was turning Thanksgiving. It was getting cold outside. And I thought, we live in Ohio. It's going to be really cold in the winter. So I thought, I don't think a lot of these people are they're roughing it right now, but I don't know if they're going to want to hang out all winter. So I prayed again, and God provided a place. So that place was my home for my boot camp. Then it grew and it expanded for 5 years. And we were in there. I loved it. It worked around my family, around my kids. It was perfect. And the time came where I'm pretty sure the owner realized that, well, I could just pay somebody, because I was paying pretty good rent, bringing all that money from my own place. So he had joined a franchise. He said, no more private contractors. And I got this letter on New Year's Eve, right after coming, making all your New Year's Eve plans, coming home from a New Year's Eve party. And I was just so emotional about it, because I felt like, we had this tribe of women, and where was I going to go? It was everything I wanted. It was the whole enchilada. And I just remember being in there one day before that happened and saying to myself, because some things were not ideal, and I just said out loud, I can either complain about it or I can do something about it. And I came up with the name of Chick Fit around that time. So he said, by that spring, we'd need to be out. So I was already renting somewhere else. I had been using it all along too. So I was renting a couple places. I just don't think I really saw that I could be a gym owner. And from that time, I went on and I was out looking. I could have taken these jobs. They were being offered to me. I was getting another offer. And I just ran across this one day. I was out, I ran across this place, and it lit me up inside to think about having my own place for women. And then I went down the street and I saw this warehouse that was kind of hidden back. And I just felt like pulling in there. And I pulled in and it was a chapel. It was Grace Chapel. And I looked inside and I was like, oh, they have a turf field. And it is just, it's bigger than the one I was on. I don't know if there's any other one that big in the city. And that's what I need. That's what I need. And I was looking around in there and I was like, okay. So I contacted the church. We negotiated. Great. It was awesome. We made a deal. So I had the Chick Fit studio and I also had access to this huge turf. And then you guessed it, we were in there for 5 years. I think that must be my number. So here we are. It's been 5 years. And I remember being in the place saying, God, I know I've been playing small. I'm ready to go big. And I don't remember if I can't remember, but I think my hamstring was torn at this time. So I was flat on my back. I had low, very small place. It wasn't like I had hundreds of members. And the landlord came in and tripled the rent. And so I just remember not liking the way that he came in. I felt like he ran roughshod over everyone and tripled our rent, which I see as a blessing. That was totally ordained. I just remember turning to my husband and saying, honey, we're going to have to go big or go home. We went big. And I just, that was such I started small and scrappy, but like God provides a place for you. He directs your footsteps. He has purpose for your life. And you may not be able to see it, but if you just keep the faith and you submit unto him and you surrender to him. I just remember the time with my hamstring being a time of identity crisis where I was sort of feeling like, how am I going to be who I am? How am I going to do all the things I've dreamed of, that I'm passionate about, that light me up inside? I felt like it was over. Like I was never going to meet anybody again. I was never going to do anything again cool, and just feeling totally like toast. And I just remember in that time, I after 3 injuries, because it was 1, 2, 3. I don't want to go over that. I talk about it a lot on the show. But I just remember by the 3rd one, I was like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? What am I running past that I need to hear? And are we going a new direction now? Because many times your breakdown is going to be your breakthrough. It's like God setting you up for something awesome. And I remember going to a Lewis Howes School of Greatness and being surrounded by all these awesome people when I was down and out with my hamstring. They set me up in the VIP line, put me in the front of everything. And I was barely even able to sit up at the time. And he had this video, and it was all about how he was playing arena football. And then he had the injury of his life. And he was down and out on his sister's couch for like 3 years after that. And that actually, that time and that breakdown is why he has got the School of Greatness, and he has thousands, millions of people listening to his podcast and being inspired by him. And so our times of weakness, our times of roughness are the times when God can show up the most in our lives. And I wrote a book while I was at the I came up with the name, the Sisterhood of Sweat. And it was in my title, the Chick Fit Studio, kind of in the byline. And all of these things were forming. I thought writing the book first was kind of backwards, but now I understand oh my gosh, how it wasn't backwards at all. It happened exactly how it needed to happen. And here we are. This has all happened. We're going to go big. I find the place. I feel it in my spirit that it's the one. But my husband wants me to look everywhere. Go look everywhere. But I knew it was going to be the place and it was going to expand. And I have a lot of vision there, which I'm not going to quite say what all it is yet. But so we're in the place. We get started. And it's the Sisterhood of Sweat. We trademark it. It's going well. And I just start getting this nudge from God that there's more. And I really tested that out. I was like, is this me or is this you, God? And so the pink purse comes into play. That's why I said about the pink purse. I was at the gynecologist. Don't all people pray before they go into the gyno? I said a prayer, and it was just like a short sentence. I was like, God, do you rescue people, or do they need to do it all themselves? And I went into the facility. It was in a hospital, and there was a little shopping place, and there was a pink purse that caught my eye. And it drew me into the store. The price was right. I went up to the register. I looked at this little inspirational box. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be really cool to have in the studio, to have little inspirational sayings that people can take with them. And so I picked up this inspirational saying and I read it out. And it was a scripture verse. God rescues his people. I can't remember the whole verse, but that was in there. That is not coincidence. Direct answer to prayer. And I'm like, okay, God rescues his people. And I think he also knows what we like and what our heart's desires are and what draws us in. And he cares about the desires of our heart. And he does answer prayer. So it's going along. I say the prayer again one day. I'm on my treadmill. I bump into my iPad, which is my stereo, I'll call it. And this song comes on by Lauren Daigle called Rescue. And I had just prayed that again that day. God, do you rescue people? And so the song basically says something like this. I hear your SOS. I hear you whisper under your breath. I will rescue you in the middle of the night. I'm getting a little emotional now, but the vision completely came to me. Why I called it the Sisterhood of Sweat, what I was all about, what I was trying to create. And it was just like it hit me what the place was for, what the purpose was for, why I was to take over the other side of which was a church at the time. And it was, I had an SOS once upon a time, and I cried out on the name of the Lord, and he heard my cry. And we all can have an SOS in our lives. And women, God has heard women's cry. He has heard their SOS. And this is a place for women where you're heard, you're seen, and just know that God will rescue you. And it's just this whole big vision that came together. So that day, that was just like, wow, oh, wow, just flowing over my spirit, my soul. And my friend walked in with a big pink purse. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my sign. And then I walked out the door, and I can't make this up. The landlord came up to me and he said, he was talking about the other side, I want you to have this place. So we have expanded, and God has given me water in the middle of the desert, beyond my wildest dreams. He has brought women to me, enabled me to empower and help people, and brought more women into the vision where they're all empowering each other. And I just want to say, like, today, God can answer your requests. He can answer your dreams. He can put you in a place that you just never realized was possible. You could be flat on your back, and he could give you everything you've ever hoped for or dreamed for. And that's what he's done for me. And I just hope today that you can walk away just recognizing that even though we're in the middle of strife and chaos and a pandemic, that God is in charge and he's got you. And you're still capable of living your biggest, boldest dreams today. And recently for Christmas, I received the biggest pink purse you have ever seen. And I'm not sure what that means yet, but stay tuned. The vision is expanding. And when you have vision, it's expansive. And we have a great big God who is fully able. He's fully capable and can bless you beyond your wildest dreams. I hope you've enjoyed this episode today. And as always, guys, keep on keeping on. Bye, everybody.
And I hope that all of our listeners have enjoyed this podcast. And if you guys have really enjoyed this, please review us in iTunes and also share this episode with your friends and your loved ones. Thanks again for listening to the Sisterhood of Sweat.